Hey everyone.
Welcome to Podcast for Your Life.
It's the podcast where we share thoughts from our life.
For yours. I'm Jason.
I'm Jam, and we have a interesting episode today.
Yep.
It might not be appropriate for all audiences.
Yep, time to get that censorship button ready because we are talking about expletives.
And if you saw the title and you clicked play, you made it past two possible opportunities to turn back.
Yep. And for the record, we are not going to be actually mentioning any explicit words during this episode. We'll just be talking about the concept of them, so you can rest easy knowing that this episode will be child-friendly for the most part.
For the most part, we just don't... The thing you might want to be wary of is you don't want to give your kids any ideas of substitute curse words or anything, and so for that reason, it might not be the best idea.
Who knows? But you can let us know after the episode, and here we go. So, Jim, I think you looked this up recently. What are expletives?
I was kind of trying to find a word that kind of meant what I wanted it to mean, like just describe the general idea of words you say as like in anger or that are just sort of part of our slang that can be curse words, or the substitutes, words like darn or shoot or dang, any of those, like is there a word just for them? And apparently the word expletive actually applies to all of them. It's like filler word in a sentence that doesn't really add to the sentence but emotes in some form.
Yeah, it's a filler word, which is interesting because like when most people think of expletives, obviously if they think of cuss words or curse words or bad words, you know, I think they think of the choice ones, you know, that are like the let's bump that rating up to a PG-13 kind of a deal. But it's funny because like expletives, it really covers like everything since you're like 3 years old.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. Most people just think of all the best ones, you know,
Right.
all those the greatest ones. They think of just the greatest hits, you know?
The strongest ones.
Yeah, the greatest hits. Yeah, that's what I said.
Expletives of the Greatest Hits album. Brought to you by Comcast. Yeah, so it's interesting. So, Jan, what are some expletives that you have used quite frequently lately?
One that I was thinking about recently is shooby dooby. It's kind of been one I've been using for the past couple of years because it's silly, but it also has the sh beginning, which can apply to several other expletives, not just the one
Sure.
that most people think of, but like shoot or what other ones there are, and it's great too because it can be like used in serious ways, or if you need to catch yourself and not finish saying whatever you're saying, you can change it to shooby dooby.
It's true.
So I like that one. We also adapted the idea of shooby dooby even further by creating a person, Schubert Dubert, who can also be blamed for things. So if you need it to be sort of directed at a person, but you want to direct it at a fictional person and not maybe the real person that you're mad at or frustrated at, you can shout Schubert Dubert's name and blame him for whatever frustration you're currently experiencing.
So it sounds almost like you've taken Shooby Dooby and made it like a modern resurrected version of Tutti Frutti on Rudy.
I don't know if I'm familiar with that.
The Little Richard song, Tutti Frutti.
Oh, yeah, right.
Anyway, I think Shooby Dooby's a great one, and
Yeah.
I think that it definitely rolls off the tongue and it's easy to pick up. Speaking of shoot, one of my memories of expletives growing up is I was watching The Matrix Reloaded on TV. So TV ones back in the day, like when they had movies on TV, maybe they still do. They would edit, and sometimes they would take it out entirely. They would just like there'd be silence at that part. But this specific version, there's a part where Neo is like tracing down these guys, and he opens these doors, and it's like the doors have changed, and he's in a different part. And you clearly know that he doesn't say this, but he just goes like he kind of mouths something, but instead you hear shoot in this like really silly man voice, and it's definitely not Keanu Reeves' voice. And I was just like, whoa, those people who edited that part must have really enjoyed doing that, because it's just like, shoot. So that's a great memory of the word shoot and growing up. So anyway,
That's
it's fun.
really
I love seeing what they would do, because like obviously growing up we didn't really watch a whole lot of movies with strong language, but when they're on TV, you don't realize how much they've edited until you watch the original version.
Yeah.
And then you're like, whoa, I don't remember there being so much language.
Yeah, it is pretty funny, especially like if you've seen the real version and then you see a TV version.
Yeah.
It can be hilarious.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my little take on there.
I know we both have pretty similar backgrounds, and I think there's always been filler like substitute curse words. I think, but one thing, an area, type of culture I think where that really thrives is Christian culture, where we have sort of come up with our a lot of our own safe words like that, and I think. We probably didn't always come up with them, but I think at this point it's pretty funny that it's associated with mostly Christians, and that's both the background that Jason and I come from and are like grew up in and everything. And so, growing up, we used shoot all the time, dang, darn,
yep,
or like
gosh,
oh
goodness,
yeah. And then like some of the more kind of I feel like they're somewhat modern, someone since 2000s like snap,
dang it,
and then there's of course ones that come up in different areas of the world, like different parts of the country that probably are regional or something, but
probably. Yeah, I think the expletives in the Christian community are a lot more noticeable because they're just so odd, like son of a biscuit, you know? Like,
yeah.
But if somebody was to say that in the not maybe outside of the Christian community, I think that it wouldn't be as like memorable.
Yeah.
And that's why I would opt for those words, because I think it's funnier just to be like, son of a hamster, you know? Like there's a whole scene in Get Smart where he's just doing all of these expletives and they're just totally random but funny. It's almost like they're like, okay, I need you to get in the scene where you're going to be in a lot of pain and you're going to be cursing a lot, but you can't use actual curse words. And Steve Carell's like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah. And it's funny too because it can kind of make the situation where you're angry kind of more lighthearted if you pick something silly.
Yeah, I totally agree. Why do people even use expletives? Like, obviously, we know it's a filler word. Like, that's the, Merriam-Webster definition. But why do people have to, why do we have expletives? Because, like, when we stub our toe or we're in pain of some sort or we're angry, why aren't we just like, oh, my toe, or oh, I'm angry, It's always like, shoot darn heck,
Yeah. It is weird. I think it's just because it's like it's such an immediate response. Instead of you having time to like process what just happened a little bit, the need arises to say something before you've really figured out what happened. So when you stub your toe, like I think it's pain before you consciously think I have just stubbed my toe. So I don't think it makes as much sense to be like, I am frustrated at the pain that I'm experiencing right now because of stubbing my toe.
But I think you do internally. Like internally, when you stub your toe, your body knows instantly, ow, I stubbed my toe and it hurts and there's pain. But it's like, what comes out is like random words.
Well, I'm thinking maybe that does happen internally, but your mouth is already ready to go before you have really completed that thought.
Which is so interesting. I wonder if it really helps the pain. Like, I wonder if there's been a study done where they're like, okay, we're going to just, pinch you or we're going to shock you or something and you're going to experience pain and... yeah, that's it. And that's all that they tell their test subjects. And then they just observe. And then they ask, like, did you feel, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, rate your level of pain? I wonder if the people who shout more are like, oh, actually, I was only on 4. And the people who don't say anything are like, it was a 9, That'd be an interesting study to do.
Yeah, does it help? Yeah. Can I confess something to you?
Yes.
When I'm alone, I don't filter anything. So if I'm the only person around and I stub my toe, there's no funny versions of the expletives that come out.
You know what they say? It's not a bad thing if it's done in private.
That's true. If a man stubs a toe in the woods and no one's there to hear.
Oh my goodness.
But growing up, we had some pretty funny ones that I wanted to share if we have time. Is that cool?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my mom would make up some expletives, and some of my favorites that I still use. She'll say, she mama or she papa.
Okay.
So it's kind of like the beginning of a word, and then she'd change it to she mama. But it started being its own thing because it's like a word she would say it all at once, all in a row. So she'd be like, she mama. And
it sounds like tongues.
Oh, I don't really. Yeah. And another one she would do, especially was if she like grabbed something that ended up being painful or like hot. Like she grabbed a hot like cup or a bowl or something, it was a very like sudden blurting out. She would say "achi pachi."
Achi pachi.
Achi pachi.
This sounds like a different language to me, dude.
I mean, it kind of could be so. And then my dad, on the other hand, did have actual in other language things he would say.
Oh yeah, that was classic growing up. Like
Yeah.
when some of my friends like knew Spanish cuss words, and that was like
Yeah. Here's what he would do. So my dad is from Bolivia, and he would say, we'd always kind of make fun of him, but it was actually really funny and endearing. But he would say, "Aya Maria," and he'd start saying some things after it, which maybe could be actual cuss words. I don't know. But we could never know what he said after that because you kind of trail off. But the "Aya Maria" was always very prominent. And so we started adding things on. So we'd be like, "Aya Maria, Jose Casablanca," and like just add on different things in Spanish that were.
that's fun.
But
That reminds me of. I wonder if that's like kind of a stereotype for Latinos or Latinas doing that kind of thing, because Rick Ricardo from like I Love Lucy.
Yeah.
He would do that a lot where the whole show, he's speaking in English, but then when he's like upset, he would just be like, oh, la 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 la, and just like go off on these like Spanish rants. And I didn't know what he was saying. I'll have to ask my wife, who is fluent in Spanish, like, hey, we should go back and watch some of those episodes, and you can tell me what he's saying. Maybe he was just like saying some really basic stuff, like, I am Ricky. But anyway, it was just like funny because like it's English, and he just goes off on this rant. I feel like if I was bilingual and I was around folks who didn't know what I was going to say, I would totally do that, even if it wasn't actual like strong curse words. If it was just expletives that are just like random filler words in a different language, I think that's hilarious.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. Like, on one hand, my mom being very unusually creative with the things she said. On the other hand, my dad saying things in Spanish. There's a couple others he said, but I'm honestly not sure what they mean, so I'm just going to leave them out for now. That's
Nice.
okay.
I have a vivid memory of a vacation when I was probably in like middle school. And I was kind of like the goody two shoes kid. I like didn't do things wrong, or at least tried not to do things wrong outwardly. But we were driving back from a family vacation, and it was at the point where people were getting a little spunky in the car. So,
At that point, we all know.
Yeah, right. And so my parents, like they didn't curse growing up, at least around us. And they, taught us not to curse and stuff. But we got to this one point where they just started going off on this kind of laughing fest and silly jokes where they were just going off saying things like, why you blankety blank truck driver, you blankety blank. But they weren't actually saying the words. They were saying blankety blank. So obviously as a kid, I had like a general idea of like they're substituting it.
Yeah.
And they're probably thinking of something else. But they just thought it was so funny that they were like cussing, or they were like actually using the expletives even though they were just saying blankety blank. They just thought it was like the hilarious thing. And then my sister joined in, my younger brother thought it was hilarious, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, really super legalistic, like, oh my gosh, you guys stop, you're really saying it, like you're thinking it, and that's bad. But that was a vivid memory.
I'm getting such a window into your thinking as a kid.
Oh yeah dude, that was me. Yep.
So what's
Good
your opinion overall on expletives?
Oh yeah, real quick. I use them all the time, and sometimes I use them in jest, but I don't do like strong curse words.
Word. And I like funny ones because they're funny and it's great. And I think it's odd that our culture has certain ones that we think are like you shouldn't say in a way. It's just kind of strange. It seems like we kind of arbitrarily came up with some that we don't think are okay. Anyway,
Yeah, I think there are some that are very offensive, like objectively offensive, and I think the others are like, okay, that word comes from something else, which I understand, where that's coming from. So.
Yeah. Some seem like harmless, but it's just because you never know your audience, and
right,
that I'm sensitive to.
It's got to serve your audience. I think that's a good way to close us out, Jam.
Yeah. Well, that's all the time we have. Thanks so much for listening and pressing play, even despite your best judgment. And hope it was an interesting topic.
Yeah, we'll see you guys later.